Stormgate is an early access beta, and I'm here to give you my take. My take is, for Stormgate as it stands, the game is coming along, and it's a video game. But the video game that most of us are referring to when we're looking hard at Stormgate is StarCraft 2. And let's be honest, the pathing of this game is not up to StarCraft 2. It's very true. There's a lot of wonky stuff. The Shadow Mastiffs charging into the trees and missing for days on end. But all these things can be fixed. And based on what I've seen from when I got to visit the offices in Irvine, they've added a lot. This whole thingy, it wasn't even there, this faction. It was like a whisper of a mystery of what the third faction was maybe going to be. Kind of makes sense what they ended up with here. Vanguard, Infernal, Celestial. Makes sense. These two are kind of opposing each other, and this is the human normal faction. This one is Zerg-like, this one's Protoss-like, this one is Terran-like. So a lot of safe bets here. There are some edgy choices that they've made as well, like having a dog in the game. Kind of edgy, but, you know, you love dogs. Makes sense. You got chickens in the game. There is some blood. Stuff does die. They, you know, went a little bit YOLO on some of the stuff, and I can respect that. They've also primarily showed up with a functional 1v1 versus ladder, and this is what I've mainly been doing while I've been playing Stormgate, and I'm kind of addicted to this. Whenever I'm in Stormgate, I have little desire, just from my personal bias, I have little desire to do co-op, and I have little desire to do campaign. I want to do this, and I want to learn the builds people are doing and have fun. And I've been having a lot of fun. I've been queuing as random much of the time, but Infernal is my favorite so far. There are some units that are notoriously clunky in the game, and there are some units that are really fun right now, and a lot of the units are pretty rewarding to make a sick play, like stomping through some light units with the Magmadons. Very memorable, very fun. Landing Miasma, or the big spell from Celestial, the black hole, that's pulling units in and doing lots of damage. That feels rewarding and fun. This Archangel is really fun when it smashes down in the ranks. There was someone today who harassed me with 2 of these in each mineral line, and they can kill workers really well, just standing in your mineral line slapping stuff. So that was really cool. Is the game pretty imbalanced right now? Absolutely yes. Do the maps need a lot of work? Yes. Is the art style something that might not be everyone's favored? Yeah, it's pretty cartoony. That's what they ended up going with, which can age really well, but it might not be the realism that people liked from StarCraft 2. So I was pretty amazed at how the Stormgate subreddit responded to early access. But if you think about it, Frostgiant is under way more pressure to deliver a really good RTS than other games because of their Kickstarter success and other funding successes they've had compared to other games that are taking a stab at this same niche. StarCraft 2 is a super good game, and a really important thing to acknowledge about Stormgate is they're not exactly looking to make StarCraft 3. They are setting out to have something a little bit closer to Warcraft 3, with hero units in the co-op heavily emphasized, maybe the hero units showing up in 3v3. Check with their plan with that. But it's a pretty good game. It does feel responsive. After my computer upgrade, it runs quite well. But it is a little bit more difficult to run than StarCraft 2, and that makes sense. They wanted to capitalize on modern hardware. They've got the Unreal Engine and stuff, and I did have the graphics turned up somewhat. But I would give Stormgate and the Frostgiant team a firm handshake and a solemn nod for their great challenge they have before them. It is very hard to make a video game. It's hard to make a program on the computer, and it's hard to make it work. And I'm not a computer scientist, so I don't really know all of the difficulties and all of the hurdles, but the mountain that they are trying to climb here of reaching the glory of StarCraft 2 and making a premier esport game that's also playable and fun as a casual RTS with co-op and team games and campaign and all that, it is a mighty undertaking, and they're doing a pretty good job. I feel like they're hustling, they're working hard. They made a good post that was communicative about what they're trying to fix. And they do have to deal with a lot of the cynicism of StarCraft fans StarCraft fans are hurt. We are a hurt tribe because we were abandoned for content development. They stopped adding co-op commanders. They basically axed the whole team. So we just get to play 1v1s on a cycle of maps, and the balance council updated sometimes. So a lot of people who are very much StarCraft loyalists have been abandoned. So we are now suspicious of whatever new games are being made, and we want to make sure that those devs are going to look out for us and so on. But I like the energy that they're bringing with this. I've had a lot of fun. Is it as polished as StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void current ladder? Absolutely not, but there's no way that it should be. For how many years they've been working on this versus how many years they've worked on StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1. Like StarCraft 2 even got to iterate on a lot of the layout and flow of StarCraft 1. Whereas this, it does reference a lot of the units. Some of the units feel similar. There are some voice line references, but it's not a direct rip. Celestial is different from Protoss, quite a bit different. Infernal is quite a bit different from Zerg, and Vanguard is quite a bit different from Terran. A funny example of that would be in the Vanguard mirror matchup, Dog versus Dog feels very similar to Ling versus Ling. So you get a little bit of a Zerg flavor in the Vanguard early game in certain scenarios. But the Infernal with the Shroud spread feels closer to Zerg and looks closer to Zerg at a glance. Celestial is obviously the Protoss analog. So with that one, though, you do get Kree, which feel like a sort of Ling Bane unit. They roll really fast like Sonic the Hedgehog and then slap stuff. They've got a good mixture of aesthetics of the units. They've got like tough robot looking units, some cool ships. The Angels ended up looking more robotic and less Night Elf than I expected, but it looks very cool. I like the energy. Infernal's my favorite so far. It's the most Zerg-like. They did a really good job with this guy. The Imp is very cute. You need some cute units, you need some scary looking units, you need some pretty units. The wings of these look really epic. They did a good job on making this unit look epic. Seraphim are nice. What have these got? I like the Atlases. The tank, basically. It's like a siege tank kind of thing. Those really slap. And I enjoy it. But yeah, Stormgate as a whole right now, I feel like they're on track. They're trying their best to deliver what they can. They've got a lot of different opinions coming at them as well, because some people will be adamant that Frost Giant should focus on making StarCraft 3, and then other people are adamant that they should be making Warcraft 3 or something else entirely. And you're totally free to share your RTS opinion. This is kind of mine. One thing that I would say that I miss from StarCraft 2 that's not in Stormgate, I don't think they plan to put it in there, is Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire would be when you want to hold down a key and basically spam that key. And as a Zerg, and even as a Protoss when you're warping in units and Terran using snipe and that sort of deal, Rapid Fire feels very fun and very fast, and it's not in this game. I miss it. Going from Zerg to Infernal. It would be cool to spit out like 14 imps instantly, but that may imbalance the game. So that's one thing that I miss from StarCraft. The pathing is much better in StarCraft 2 currently, but there are still issues with StarCraft pathing. Whenever you have queens that are trying to go through some mineral patches, sometimes two of them will just bump into each other instead of one by one going through the mineral patch. So even SC2's pathing is not quite perfect. So they're trying their best, it seems. There's a lot of work to be done. Some of the losses that you get into feel kind of random, but that's because the flow of this game is pretty different from only focusing on acquiring minerals and gas through mining and workers. You're also acquiring luminite and therium through jungling. So you're fighting these different camps and you're figuring out what the breakpoints are for when I can farm this camp to generate money, but your opponent can contest you by being aggressive at those points. So fundamentally, the reason that I'm excited about this game is because the format seems good of two RTS players fighting a little bit more for map control and creep control than just for money. Maybe the micro and the fights are a little bit slower to happen, but wrestling for that kind of map control and creep camp battles, little skirmishes like that, it seems like it has a lot of potential. Much of it, I think, will boil down to the maps and how fun they feel to play. But the notion of adding a bunch of features to the map seems really fun. So I'm excited. Is it as fun for me right now as Zerg Ladder? Kind of depends on my mood. But yeah, they're going in the right direction, or at least in a direction that I feel like a lot of people will enjoy. And they'll end up playing this game a bunch. 3v3 was announced as a thing they're really going to try to deliver soon. And a lot of people like team game ladder more so than 1v1 ladder. So that should be good. The replay system is definitely a work in progress, but I'm glad they at least put a kind of rough draft in there so you can at least watch your games and see what's going on. But I'm chilling. I give them a crisp high five. A lot of work to do, and they're getting a lot of angry people as well. People who threw down money and they're not happy with the direction that things are going in. That makes sense. I can respect that. From what I expected and what they said they were setting out to do, it seems like they're doing pretty good. But a lot of eyes are on them. A lot of pressure is on them. Heckin' in control, watch over them. That's what I say. Have y'all been having fun with the game? I liked it. I'm honestly kind of surprised at the level of feedback that they've gotten, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It's early access too. They didn't have to show the game at this point. That's another question mark for any game developer, is when do you open up the doors and let people walk around and assess your stuff? Because the earlier you let them do that, the more scuffed it's going to be and the more judgy they might be. So it's a brave move. Chat thinks this patch makes the econ feel a lot better. You're having fun. You hope the audio video gets some serious revamping. Yeah, I don't think it's meant to be finished at all, really. The audio is, to me, it just seems like it hasn't really been heavily focused on yet. One quirk that I found, I haven't tested it in this patch, but in a previous build, if you mute the sound in the menu, certain sounds still go through. I think I muted it by turning the volume to 0. Music. They've got their menu music. You can set which side the minimap goes on, which made me happy because they initially started on the right, I think, and I like it on the left. Their hotkey system and control groups and making units and workers feels way easier than StarCraft. You don't have to hotkey your buildings in the same way that StarCraft players have to. So that's nice. A lot more noob friendly, I think, and obvious for how to play. But at the highest level, I don't know if the skill ceiling will necessarily be lower than StarCraft. In some ways it might, but because of the activity on the map and the micro potential there, it should still be very high skill gaming. Chat thinks most air is still useless and they should address it. It's hard for me to agree with that one when I lost to the Vanguard carrier transition every time that happened today. Well, cool. Thank you, Frost Giant, for working hard on a video game. Keep trying your best. I would say don't listen to the haters, but maybe there's good feedback in there, so Godspeed and best of luck. Thank you for trying your best to make an RTS.